So it's no surprise that compact cameras have completely exploded in popularity in the last 5 years. Cameras like the X100, the Ricoh GR3, the Leica Q2 and Q3, and many more. Cameras like these have made the shooting experience a little bit more casual and fun. And that's why I love this camera right here. This is the Fujifilm X100VI. So I've owned my X100VI for almost a year, and in today's video, I want to share my experience and give my honest opinion on this camera and tell you exactly how I use this camera, and then break down the features that I love about this camera, and then some things that I don't like. And there's not a lot, but there's definitely a few things that I think could be improved, and we're gonna talk about that right now. So we're gonna get started with the build quality and the overall design, and I love the way this camera looks. I owned the original Fujifilm X100 a little over 10 years ago, and the design of this camera has stayed true to that original design. It hasn't changed a lot, but it's definitely been refined over the years. Between that and this camera, I also had the X100S, and then 4 years ago I had the X100F, and now we are here. And this is definitely Fujifilm's best version of this camera. But in terms of the design, it just looks cool. And that is the one thing that always drew me to the original X100 when I first found out about it. And the original camera is what drew me into the Fujifilm system as a whole, and I have been in love with it ever since. But this camera just looks plain cool, and it's such a fun shooting experience. I opted for the silver finish. All of my X100s except for the X100S have been silver, and I think it just looks great. You get that nice silver contrast with the black on here. All of the buttons, like the knurled finish around the shutter button and the focus ring, everything just feels great. It definitely has a premium feel to it. I mean, it really does. It feels like a solid camera in the hand. It does not feel cheap by any means. This camera takes on that classic rangefinder film camera look in a digital body, and they have pulled it off so well. It has been further refined over the years, over the different models, and coming from the X100F, the silver finish is a lot more smoother, sleeker. It's a lot of sharper edges around it. It just looks fantastic. Overall, excellent build quality. This thing is so comfortable to hold in the hands and use, and I love it. I continue to love the X100 cameras. I'm glad that Fujifilm stayed true to this design, and it's a win for me. One of the biggest changes to this camera is the introduction of the 40 megapixel X-Trans 5 sensor straight from the Fujifilm X-T5, which is another camera that I have. So when it comes to this camera, I shoot JPEGs out of it. I don't shoot raw photos from this camera, but I have edited some raw photos from the X-T5 with the same sensor, and the image quality has been excellent. I have had no issues with it, and I was a little concerned with the larger file sizes coming from this high resolution sensor, but it has not been an issue so far. I directly import my photos straight to my phone, and I have not had any issues with running out of space. It's been fine. But the really nice thing about having this 40 megapixel sensor in this camera is it gives you the flexibility to crop into your image a little bit more, given that this is a fixed focal length camera. Overall, I love the sensor in this camera. It's fantastic. Image quality is great. Colors look awesome. I absolutely love it. So the main thing that sold me on this camera and just Fujifilm as a whole are the film simulations. And I think this is one of the biggest reasons that a lot of people love these cameras. Fujifilm simulations are basically built-in color profiles based on Fujifilm's color science, based on their film stocks. And this allows you to get really beautiful JPEG images straight from the camera without having to edit anything. And that's really the reason why I love using this camera, because the X100VI to me is my everyday camera. This is the camera that I take with me everywhere I go. If I'm going to the food store or the dollar store, I went to the dollar store the other day, brought my X100 and ended up walking away with some really cool photos. And I was actually using a new Fujifilm recipe that I am creating that I will also be making a video on in the future. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss that video. But the Fujifilm simulations are so much fun to use. And it takes it a step further because you can tweak these recipes from anything from your tone curves, so your shadows, your highlights, your clarity, your white balance shift. There are so many options in this camera that you can adjust to really tailor a certain look to your needs. And it's so much fun to use this. I mean, I've traveled with this several times this year to the shore. I went to Salem, Massachusetts. I went to Chicago, and it makes it such a great travel camera that I can just get something I love straight out of the camera, and I don't have to sit at the computer and edit these. And I think it's one of the best features on this camera. There are so many film recipes out there that you can try. It's endless. I love being able to shoot the images straight from the camera, import it directly to my phone, and then share it on Instagram or Threads or wherever I want, and I don't have to edit anything. And that is literally my favorite thing about this camera. I love that I can achieve different looks. Now in this camera, I have 7 custom film recipes that all have distinct looks. My 2 favorite simulations are Classic Chrome and Classic Negative. And then I think my 3rd recipe might be Acros or the Nostalgic Negative simulation, but there's just so many options and it's so much fun to use this, and I think it's one of the best features on this camera. This next thing might seem like a gimmick with this camera, but I'm telling you, I promise, this is one of the coolest party tricks on this camera, and that is the built-in flash. Now, you might look at this and say, that flash is so small, what could that possibly do? And it's not the strongest flash in the world, but it does enough, it just provides just enough fill flash to really create some interesting images. And I've used this multiple times for parties, if I'm going out with my friends, and it's like this, it is like this party trick feature where you can create some really cool images with the flash. And it's something that I use a lot more than I thought I would, and you can get some really interesting results. If you turn the flash on, you set your grain effect to strong and large, and you can get some really cool, almost disposable, like 35 millimeter like film photos from this. It's a great feature to have. Again, and I actually think that the flash might be one of the most underrated features about this camera, but it is a tiny flash, so don't expect it to do something, don't expect it to like fill a whole room, but it just gives you enough fill just to make some really interesting images, and I love the feature. Definitely try the flash. If you haven't, I promise you're gonna get some good results. So the next new feature in this camera is the in-body image stabilization, and at first, I wasn't sure if I really needed this. Like, on this little compact camera, you really don't need in-body image stabilization, but I have used this in the past at night, and it's enabled me to get really cool motion blur at night using a very slow shutter speed and handhelding this, no tripod needed, and it just opens up so many more creative possibilities. And I took this to the shore. I wanted to capture some of the rides in motion. I did some panning shots of, like, I think a Porsche on the street, and I've used this in some situations, and it does allow for some extra creativity. And it's also handy for the next feature on this list, and that is the video capability. Now, the X100 is not a video first camera at all. It's not. Don't buy this camera if you want to shoot just video. But do know that this camera has a lot of great specs packed into this little compact camera for video. It can shoot 4K 60, 10-bit F-Log2. It's got all of the video features that the X-T5 has, and even like the X-H2S that I'm recording on right now. And with that IBIS inside, it can allow you to get some smooth handheld shots. While it's not perfect, it's not like the smoothest IBIS that I've ever used before, but it really does come in handy, especially with that built-in ND filter. And that, again, is another really cool feature about this camera, is that built-in ND filter. And all in all, those features together makes this a great video camera. I would use this as a great B-roll cam, or if I just want to go and capture some casual video of my family and my friends, which I have used in the past, or I've taken this to Salem, Massachusetts last year, and I shot all my video on here. You can shoot in F-Log2. You can even create your own film recipes for video to get a baked-in look straight out of camera. And it's a great camera. I actually use this as a B cam sometimes if I really need to, and it's worked out great. It's honestly one of the most surprising things about this, and it's a feature that I use a lot more than I expected, because the X100VI is a photo first camera. It is not a video centric camera at all, but it can really create some incredible looking video, and it definitely surprised me. So I know that a lot of people love just the straight out of box look of this camera, and it looks great, but I personally love to accessorize my camera. So I have some accessories over here, like this small rig hand grip. I have my short stash everyday filter, which I have made a video about in the past if you want to check that out. And then I have a thumb grip. I have some leather straps for it. I have a bunch of little accessories to just personalize this camera. And especially the hand grip really improves the ergonomics of the camera, because the grip on here is really small. And so if you have bigger hands, it's not going to be the most ideal for you. So having the small rig grip kind of improves the ergonomics of it. And with this grip in particular, it matches the camera extremely well. The thumb grip overall improves the feel of using the camera. And if you like to keep your camera bare bones like this, that's totally fine. But if you love to accessorize it, know that there are a lot of accessories on the market for this camera. So now let's get into some of the things that I don't like about this camera. And I mean, these are a couple things that it's not like the end of the world. It's not the biggest deal, but there's just a few things where I wish they could improve on a little bit. And the first thing is the menu system. Fujifilm, please update your menu system, please. The menu system in this has been the way it's always been. It's a little bit hard to find certain settings. And then there are settings where you would think it would be next to another setting and it's not. So I wish that the menu system was updated a little bit, but I'm used to it now, so it's not the biggest deal, but I know that this has been an issue with some people in the past. So Fujifilm, if you're listening, please update the menu system. Next issue with this, and again, it's kind of hit or miss, and that is the autofocus. To Fujifilm's credit, they recently released a firmware update for this camera that partially corrects the autofocus issues that this camera was experiencing. So when it comes to the autofocus system, it is literally hit or miss, but it's not the worst. It's definitely, the autofocus system in this camera is great. I mean, it really is a good autofocus system, but it definitely does have some issues with missing focus or like hunting. And you know, it's not the biggest deal in the world sometimes, but when it does miss focus, you will notice it, and sometimes it becomes an issue. But I hope to see that the autofocus issues are fully addressed with this camera and some of the other Fujifilm cameras, but it's one thing that I would love to see further improved. The final thing on this list is the battery life. Now, again, the battery life, it's not terrible. I think you might be able to get 350 to 400 shots on a battery, but I also have like 4 extra batteries, so it's not really an issue. But if you're out and about, I would definitely pick up some extra batteries, because if you're shooting with this in a couple hours, you're gonna run through a battery. But if you have multiple batteries, it's not really a huge deal. With all that said, my experience with this camera has been excellent. I love this camera. I've always loved the X100 cameras, even back to the original camera, which I wish I had kept that, because it's kind of a little nostalgic at this point. Like just photographing all kinds of moments and traveling with it. And if I don't want to bring my X-T5, I'm gonna bring this camera. Like there are some trips where I've been on where I just pack this in a bag and I'm good to go, and I don't have to worry about it. It's so easy to use, and it's, you know, I've walked through airports with this camera shooting photos, and it's nice, it's fun. It's a casual, fun experience. that I think everyone would enjoy if you could get your hands on one of these cameras because it's been out for a year now and they are still impossible to get, but you know. And what's funny is many years ago, I used to say to myself that like, this camera is like Fujifilm's best kept secret, and now the whole world knows about it. And I mean, I used to go out with my old X100 cameras, and people used to ask me like, what is that? Is that a film camera? Like, what are you shooting on? Now you should say, oh, Fujifilm. And then people would say like, Fujifilm, what's that? Some people have never heard of Fujifilm, but nowadays there is so much love for Fujifilm and the community is excellent. I love the Fujifilm community. There are so many passionate people who use these cameras, and especially the film recipe and the film simulation groups. So is this camera for you? I think that's up for you to decide, because you need to figure out like what you want in a camera, because I've seen a lot of people who will buy a camera like this and expect it to do things that it just doesn't do. I mean, you have to know the limitations of the camera. And if you're just looking for something that you want to carry with you every day and have fun with, then this is the camera for you. If you need a video camera, or you need to shoot sports, or you need a wedding camera, or you need to be able to change lenses, this probably isn't for you. But what I would recommend is if you have an entire kit, like if you have a photo camera and a video camera, you have a bunch of lenses that you use professionally, and you can afford to pick this camera up as something that you can have fun with on a daily basis when you don't want to carry your other two cameras or whatever, I would highly recommend trying out this camera. So that's going to do it for me today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and make sure you like and subscribe, because I do have another video coming out very soon on a new Fujifilm recipe that I'm creating that I'm very excited about. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss that. And also leave a comment in the description below, because I want to know your opinions on this camera. So that's going to do it for me today. I'll see you next time.